think of yourself in this situation. Do you start something new which you're super passionate about, and you put in a bunch of work, you feel so inspired to do that thing, and then as soon as it gets hard, you kind of pull away and you stop going towards that dream because you've quit? And I do not believe that you are lazy. I do not believe that you are unmotivated or uninspired. I just believe that we have been taught the wrong lessons in terms of what it takes to get where we need to go in terms of our dreams. So if you listen to this episode today, I promise by the end of this episode, I'll give you a framework to deal with this and to get out of that kind of loop of quitting. Because it can become an addiction. We can go from quitting one thing to quitting the other because we're following these quick dopamine rushes instead of the person that we're wanting to be. And you're not broken. You're not a broken human being. We've just all kind of gone through this. And I think the people that really become successful know this about themselves. They know that their mind is going to try pull back. It's going to try have self-preservation when it gets difficult. And that's where I'm here to help today. So my promise is if you watch this episode, this will change. You will be helped and you will be able to put these things to practice. So I want to start today with a little story about myself, because I've had it so many times in my life. When I was a kid or a teenager, I had so many different interests, so many things that I wanted to do. And I would see something or someone doing something and I'd be like, I want to do that. That looks easy. And that was the lie I told myself, was that it seemed easy, when really in my mind, I should have known that anything worth getting is not easy. So I would start these new things, these new little passion projects. And as soon as it would get difficult, I would jump ship. I would be gone. I would move on to the next one. I'm already on the next one. And it would mean that I would never amount to anything in terms of what I could show for those things I was doing. I would never gain the skill that I needed to be incredible at it. And that's okay, because obviously you don't need to be amazing at every single little thing you do. But I think we should give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We should try push ourselves into deeper water. And as I grew older, I realized this. I realized that to get good at something or to become fitter, I had to be in deeper waters. I had to struggle. I had to go through the hard parts. And it's exactly the same with skill building. We have to go into deep waters. We have to challenge ourselves. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you a framework that can go through these different parts that will allow you to have this little life raft to get through it and not worry that you will sink, because you will not sink. So I wanted to deconstruct the belief that we have. A lot of the time, there's this myth that you're lazy or undisciplined if you're not going after your dreams, or you've quit your dreams time and time again, or not even a dream or a passion that you've had, you quit when it's got hard. And I do not agree with that. I believe that sometimes, well, a lot of the time, we're afraid of failure. So instead of allowing ourselves to be in that deep water and to maybe find it difficult and to not know how to swim at the start, instead we just don't get into that deep water. We save ourselves from having that struggle. And I do understand it, because part of it is self-preservation. But to really flourish in the future, you have to have that deep water. You have to allow yourself to be in those deep waters, because that, at the end of the day, that's the only way we get better. Because for me, I feel like the struggle is the skill building. The time that we spend struggling to do that thing is building that skill. And that's how someone looks at someone who's incredibly talented and thinks, oh, that looks easy. And it's like, no, they've just gotten so good at that skill that of course it looks amazing and easy to you, because they've made it smooth. They've taken that time to get rid of the ugly from being on display because they've done it for decades. So we need to allow ourselves to struggle. And we also need to realize that when we're just kind of pushing perfectionism, because a lot of the time it is perfectionism, because we've had that little taste of imperfection, of it being difficult, and our mind, because obviously through the years everything's been easy, or maybe certain things are easier than others, our mind pushes away from that, and it's like, no, it's not perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be raw and real. And that struggle, you need to get comfortable in that. And one more thing I kind of want to push on to is the all or nothing loop. I used to have this so much. Like when I would start working out or going to the gym or doing anything, I would be doing it 100 miles an hour, or I'd be working on this thing 24/7, giving no time to my mental health, giving no time to other individuals in my life. And that just may work for some people, but for most people, you're not going to be able to run at 100 miles an hour 7 days a week and every single week of the year. So why don't we slow down a little bit? Why don't we take steps? Why don't we have little runs and then rest and then come back and do it, or take little steps every day to get towards our goal? It doesn't need to be a giant jump every single day. Just remember, it doesn't have to be a giant jump every single day. It can be small. So I want to focus on the framework that we can use here, something that can help you, something that you can take out into the world. And when you are having a difficult time, you have this to kind of sit back and know that you have this to push you through. So the first part of my framework is shrink the scope. And what do I mean by this? Basically, start with something so small you can't fail. And the point of this is to basically build trust. I don't want you to go huge, because at this point you've lost that trust with yourself. You don't believe you can do it. So we need something that you can do easy, something that you can continually do easy, that you know, even on my worst day, I can succeed at this, and build that trust. And the second step is expect the dip. And what do I mean by this? So like I previously said, a lot of people, and including myself in the past, quit when it gets to the dip, when it gets difficult, when it's not as fun as maybe that other part. We quit. But instead, we have to get used to expecting it. We have to know that that's going to be there, and that's natural. But we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to look at it head on and push as far as we can with it, and push through it, because at the end of the day, that small area of it, it'll get easier. It'll become like the start, the easy part of it. It'll become natural to you. And that's what I want. I want it to be natural for you. But for it to be natural for you, you have to struggle within it. So expect the dip. And then step 3 is to track identity, not output. Because at the end of the day, you cannot basically compare yourself towards someone that is down the road, maybe 7 years down the road, and they're outputting many different things, and their output's amazing, and it's high quality and everything, and they're where you want to be. But you can't compare your output to their output. So what we need to focus on is, do I have that identity? Do I have that identity? Am I going towards that identity that I want? And if you are, then you can take those kind of punches. You can take those difficult times, because you know that it's going towards the person you want to be. And step 4 is to celebrate the micro wins. What do I mean about this? Well, when you're doing this, you're going to be doing so many different little things that feel and look little, but they're huge. When you put them together, they're huge. So you want to celebrate that, because sometimes you're going to be stuck on a small part and you could quit there, but instead you've got through it, and you deserve to celebrate that. You deserve to appreciate yourself for that. And if you use these 4 steps, let's go over them one more time. Shrink for scope. So start with something small. Expect the dip. So you're expecting that struggle. Track identity. So you're keeping in your mind who you're wanting to be, and am I taking a step towards that? Celebrate the micro wins. And if you're doing all these little things, celebrating yourself and going towards the person you're wanting to be and taking that struggle and doing those little steps, trust me, that it will break that cycle that you've been in. And if you do that over and over again, you'll become a different human being, because now you're someone with these built-in innate habits to go through struggle. And most of the time that breeds success. So I'm really kind of rooting for you. If you take that in, you will be, I trust me, you will gain that success. So we've gotten to the part of this episode where I kind of give you a little bit of reflection. It's not like homework, but it's kind of like a interesting way you can ask yourself questions. So I have 3 questions here, and I'm going to kind of quick fire them at you. Put them in a journal, ask them to yourself, and then go back over the video and see, is this something I can implement? Because I know it is. So the first question is, what's something I quit, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much? The second one is, where have I been making perfection the price of permission? And the third question is, what's a tiny way I can show up this week just to rebuild trust? And at the end of the day, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Just prove it to yourself. So I want to thank you so much for watching this episode, because it means a lot for me to have a few different viewers here. And I also just want you to kind of give your feedback. And if you have any ideas for episodes, drop them in the comments, because I want to make this interactive. I want you to be able to get something from this. And I want to hear your feedback. And if you have any ideas and if you need any advice, because that's what I'm here for. We're all friends here, and I just want to give you some good advice if I can. So yeah, I really appreciate you, and we'll see you later.